Call to order the Morton Grove Public Library Board of Trustees regular meeting of June 8th, 2017. Now we start with what?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody just people who are currently sworn in, or do you want to swear in and do the roll call?
We can swear in first if we want to flip-flop that.
Okay, so we're going to switch items 2 and 3 on the agenda and do swearing in the new trustees.
So we'll do this in alphabetical order. Eric, if you want to come up, and I will read you the oath, and then you'll be official. Is this good? Okay, you raise your right hand. I, Eric Monson,
I, Eric Johnson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the rules, regulations, and ordinances
rules, regulations, and ordinances
of the Village of Morton Grove,
of the Village of Morton Grove.
and I will faithfully discharge all the duties of the office of library trustee
I'll faithfully discharge the duties of library trustee
of the Village of Morton Grove to the best of my ability.
of the Village of Morton Grove to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. And then I'll just sign. Okay, raise your hand. I, Joanne Pelletier, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
That I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the rules, regulations, and ordinances
the rules, regulations, and ordinances
of the Village of Morton Grove,
of the Village of Morton Grove,
that I will faithfully discharge all the duties of the office of library trustee
that I will faithfully discharge all the duties of the office
of library
of
trustee
library trustee
of the Village of Morton Grove
of the Village of Morton Grove
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability. Thank you.
All right, I will call the roll then. Calamag,
Here.
Gonzalez. Here. Gray here, Mason here, Monson.
Here.
Novick. Here. Pelletier. Here. I'm going on, I never pronounce it correctly. Pelletier. The approval of the minutes for the regular board meeting of May 11th, 2017. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second it. Oh, I'm sorry, do you want to say the whole thing?
Motion to approve the minutes of the meeting on May 11, 2017.
And I'll second it.
Second. Any questions or comments? No?
And just to let the trustees know as well that you can actually vote on these minutes. You'd be voting on if there's any spelling corrections, those kinds of things. Not so much the content, but you are allowed to vote on them still. You don't have to abstain.
Is this one where we try to do a roll call or we just say?
If there's no discussion, you can, if all in favor.
Okay.
Yes.
All in favor of approving the minutes from the regular board meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And
Any nays?
No, not any nays, all opposed.
yeah, aye, opposed.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the executive session of May 11th, 2017?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
You're having a good time today, aren't you?
I'm alive.
Welcome home.
That's if there's any discussion.
Any discussion of these?
Just the all in favor.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Any opposed?
Wouldn't that just be the executive board to vote on that one?
Pardon?
Wouldn't just the executive board vote on the executive board?
That, we went into executive session. It
Yeah.
wasn't the executive committee.
Yeah,
Yeah. which you all did, so,
That's true.
yeah.
Oh, but you could, you're executive.
Told you I was tired.
All right, public comments, agenda items only.
No?
President's report? Oh. No.
If there isn't one, that's fine.
Committee reports, finance, Carlotta?
Okay, finance. You'll note on the cash statement, you people probably don't notice it, but the Northern Trust is no longer on the, everything has been taken out of there and shifted around. Are there any questions on this?
I said particularly if the new trustees have any questions.
Do the trustees have any questions?
We have been over the past year, the process of switching bank accounts from Northern Trust Bank to NB Financial, and so up until last month, Northern Trust was still showing up in our cash statement because we were still closing out that account and still had bills outstanding, so that's what Carlotta was referring to.
So the money was already transferred, right?
Yeah, everything was transferred and the last checks cleared out, and so I closed the account a few weeks ago, so that's officially closed.
All right.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Petty cash 400, which is fine. MB financial petty cash? Underneath?
Petty cash, the 400, that's cash on hand we have in the library.
Uh-huh.
And then the MB Financial Petty Cash is the actual petty cash account that's in the bank.
Oh.
So petty cash, we
Okay.
could probably rename those to eliminate confusion. Basically what that means is actual money on hand
Yeah,
that
I
we have in the
understood the
library.
first to 400, I didn't understand why it's petty cash.
Yeah, the other one is just the bank account that we put petty cash, different petty cash funds go into that one.
Income statement, any questions? We're at 39%, well, not 38%, I'm gonna say, through the year. Does anybody have any?
I have questions about the check register.
Oh, we're not looking
Yeah,
at
just if nobody has any questions about this.
No, I didn't find anything.
Okay.
Hey, I can't always be the bad one.
The check register, any questions?
Illinois Department of Innovation,
Just give us the check register.
1185 on the first page. Sounds made up, I'm sure it's not. but-
That's the 6090 bronze.
Oh,
It used to be Illinois Century and now it's something.
yeah, it has to do, it's a fee for some automation
Okay,
thing. So I think it was for the website domain, for,
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, but it has to do with automation, it comes out of the
Okay.
69.
Would they change the name of the company?
Yeah, the name
Oh,
of the
okay.
company is
Okay.
changed, so.
I was trying to make it like a government entity,
Oh,
that makes more sense.
Yeah, they just changed it, so
Um,
thanks for reminding me.
There were, I noticed a lot of checks to individuals whose names I didn't necessarily recognize, Gregory Alexander, Dean Poignant, Robert Rodriguez.
Most of those are going to be for programming.
Okay,
All the ones
that's
that
what
you
I
mentioned are for programmers.
Is Cook and Cocksher 1205, is that insurance? Is that-
Yes.
Okay. And then my last question was 1274, that was big check to EBSCO, are we done
Yeah.
mostly for data?
Yeah, that's for the adult data, yeah.
Check number 1195, what is the Global Market, S&P Global Market, what's that?
That's an online database, an investment
Oh.
database for use by the patrons.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's a one-time fee as well, annual fee.
Oh, it's an annual,
Mhm.
okay.
any more questions on finances?
All right, can I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report for May 2017?
I'll make a motion to approve the treasury report.
Second?
Oh, you guys have the same,
Initials on.
yes, okay, I'm like gonna,
M.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Emily, is that okay for you?
That's fine.
Blanche?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm so used to.
We should always first and second, just to make, just to cause trouble.
Okay, so we have to take a roll call on that one. Calamag,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Gray, yes, Masajek,
Yes.
Monson,
Yes.
Novick,
Yes,
Pelletier.
Yes.
Were there any facilities? No policy, I know. So staff reports?
In addition to my written report, a couple things that I did want to mention. We are going to be participating in the parade, so if you and or any of your family members want to walk with us, you're welcome to do so. We start lining up here between 1:30 and 2, and the parade starts at 2:30. Yeah, if you want to, or if your kids want to, just let me know. We're gonna be handing out candy and some different things like that, and we're just walking. And unless they want, or unless they're going to be decorating their bikes at the Red, White, and Bicycle program the day before, we might have some kids from that walk with us or ride with us. So I did want to mention that. Let's see. I think that was the only thing that is not in my report, and then I have other things that will come up.
Are you interviewing to replace Brenda and this other Heather?
Yes, we have, we've done, I've been helping Courtney with the interviews for the YS associate position, Heather's position. We've had 2 interviews this week, we have a 3rd tomorrow, we anticipate making a decision after that. Filling Brenda's position, that job posting doesn't close until next week.
Okay.
We've gotten about 20 resumes for that. And so once that closes, we'll be scheduling those interviews, and then our hope is to have someone start before Brenda actually leaves, so we have some crossovers, so that we do a little bit of training. So that will be, Brenda's been so awesome, so it'll be a lot different for the staff, but we're trying to see it as an opportunity to get some new ideas and fresh blood, and certainly wish Brenda nothing but the best when she goes forward and wants to be a teacher. So, but yeah, we are in the midst of interviewing and everything for those positions.
Are you getting any negative feedback, not so much about the vending machine, but the location of the vending machine? That little kids walk past it every time they walk in and out and whine that they want it? Because mine have done it, and I've seen other parents.
We haven't gotten any feedback on that. Actually, feedback has been overwhelmingly
Yeah, that's what you
positive.
say.
And we've made probably about, we haven't broke even yet, but I anticipate that over the next couple of weeks, we will break even in terms of stocking, and then it will provide us with a little bit of income, not a lot, which that's really not why it's there, but you're the first person who's mentioned that. So.
Well, I just Owen every time, and then I walked in with a kid I don't know was having a meltdown with his dad about it, and I was like, oh, I'm glad it's not just my child whining because I won't buy him something out of the vending machine.
Sorry.
Well, that's okay, we'll survive. He whines a lot.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Under your part, miscellaneous page 2, you use the word overlay products.
Yes.
What are overlay products?
So what I'm talking about here is an automated system that would, they call it an overlay product because it's a software that goes over, if you will, your own online catalog or your system's online catalog. And so what that will do, or what they hope it will do, is enable people to see. So say you come into the library and you're looking at our catalog, and we don't have an item, and then you would be able to, using this overlay product, which again would be a piece of software, be able to check other libraries' catalogs, and then potentially place a hold from there.
So you don't have to do it in person.
Right. So that's ultimately the goal, but the overlay product that's what they mean. It kind of overlays your own catalog.
And it overlays for all the libraries we use now.
All the libraries we use now that would be participating in this project.
Okay.
Right now, Rails is just in the preliminary stages. They did the demos. They're still soliciting feedback. They have an overlay task force that will be choosing the product that they want to do a pilot with in July. So, and then after that, a lot of it will be how much that costs and that kind of thing, and we don't know any of those details yet.
Another question. In the back store, you're talking about lighting.
The stage lighting, the lights
What are
that
you
are.
trying to accomplish with?
Well, right now, the stage lighting is very, we have the fluorescent lights, which do the whole room, and they're just fluorescent. And then the lights that are up there now are more DJ lighting, they're not actually true lighting, like if we have performers and that kind of thing. So we're looking at potentially replacing some of those with more traditional actual stage lighting. Because what's up there is what they call DJ lighting. That's what they tell me. So, and if you see them, they're very, they're not very bright, and they have somewhat of a bluish tinge. And so that's what we're looking at. We haven't made any decisions. We've had one person come out, and it's pretty costly. So we're looking at some other options. But we do enough performances and presentations and that kind of thing, and using that room, that it might be something that we want to consider
Is it
going forward.
worth looking at catching on to some of these smaller theaters that may be upgrading and they have stage lighting? Is it worth the effort, or is it too different?
secondhand?
Yeah, like second.
I would say probably not.
Because we still have to do all the wiring and everything.
Right, I mean, some of what we're trying to do as well is to make it as simple as possible for as many people, so that staff can easily adjust those lights or turn them on and off, or on or off. And, because right now what we've got is anytime that there's a performer, there's a lot of, we have to have a certain staff member stay, that kind of thing, and so we're
Right.
trying to eliminate some of that as well.
Okay.
Again, we're just in the very preliminary stages of that, anything big, we would obviously be bringing to the board.
Somewhere in the same section, somebody had be under training,
I'm sorry?
like an internship.
The mentoring from.
The mentor.
Yes, I signed up to
can't see that
mentor a
on the list
librarian,
there.
yeah. So it will be online over the phone. ALA is in Chicago this summer, so I'll meet this young lady in Chicago, and it's just.
What, is she in training, or?
She's a librarian, she just started out in the field, and so they're just match people up. People that have been librarians for a long time, or directors and that kind of thing, and they match them up with, librarians that are just getting started.
Is it any way to have people, what's the advantage to us, other than goodwill?
Goodwill. I mean, there's no direct advantage to us, so.
It wouldn't be taking a lot of time.
No. I mean, anything that, most
I'm used to
probably.
internships from the medical world.
No, and it's not an internship at all, basically.
Mentorship.
It's just a mentoring program, yeah. So this person actually lives in Virginia, so,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So it would be either,
It's a
through,
vacation.
right, it would be through, email correspondence, talking on the phone,
Gotcha.
FaceTiming, those kinds of things. It would be, more just providing this person with, my expertise that I've gained over 25 years, kind of thing,
Thank you.
so.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Some of the village and library members are still in the MERF program.
Yes,
And so now they have a choice between the.
they do not have a choice any longer.
Okay, in 2005,
They had a choice, so for years, the village and the library provided a retirement plan that they called the MRF, it's Municipal Employee Retirement Fund, basically. But it was funded through CNA. And then in 2005, the village and the library elected to move away from that plan and go to IMRF, which is the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. And most municipalities participate in that. At that time, Morton Grove made the rather unusual decision to allow people to either stay in the MRF plan or to move to IMRF. And so we still have 3 people that are on the MRF plan. We had more, they've retired over the years. Most people switched to IMRF, and then ever since 2005, there was no choice. If you came to work for either us or the village, you had to join IMRF, you didn't have that choice. But because there's still people that are retired that are taking payments from the MRF plan, and we still actually have 3 employees that will take payments from the MRF plan. we're kind of handling both of those retirement funds right now.
So they're grandfathered in, it's not like they lose them.
No, they don't lose
Okay,
anything,
okay.
so, trust me, but, it's,
We may, but they don't.
well, we're not losing anything, it's just
No.
we're required to pay, the retirement, it's, but yes, that right now, we'll have to continue to do that until all of those people are retired and, passed away, actually. So as long as anyone remains alive that takes monies out of that
Or the
plan,
library.
we will still, or the library's broke, which I don't anticipate happening, we will be responsible for, paying into that. So, but the village has a lot more than we do, but right now it's been interesting. And then last year, the village changed the actuary that worked with the MRF plan, so that's been a little, it's fun. Yeah, I now know more about retirement plans than I ever wanted to, but, yeah, so does that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you.
Speaking of the budget, how much did you budgeted for the health insurance going up? I don't remember, it said 8%, and do you know what what you were anticipating it was gonna be, if that's about in line with it, or?
I don't believe we'll have an issue with the health insurance this year, because actually, the health insurance will go up in July because they're on a different fiscal year than we are. So, right now, I over budgeted a little bit in that amount, in that line, so we should be okay. But they are anticipating, our insurance consortium is anticipating that the cost will go up about 8%.
Yeah, that's-
Blanche and I have already been talking about ways to accommodate that, how we can maintain the level of insurance that we provide and not go broke ourselves. So we've looked at some things, passing on a slight increase to the staff, because the staff are very fortunate in how much the library pays for their health insurance currently, so we may bump that amount up a little bit. A lot of it will be depend on, once I get into the budget process, what everything looks like, how much I have to make some of those changes.
I was also happy to, hear about the social worker that you
Yeah.
were working with. I know that some of the big cities have been doing that, so.
Yeah, and we met with her, we had a really good conversation, so I think that will be a good partnership going
Yeah.
forward.
Do the Board of Trustees ever give cards of appreciation to employees that are leaving or anything?
The staff, we usually do something, the library does. The board has not traditionally done that separately. I mean, if that's something that the board would like to do, I'm certainly willing to work with you on that. But the library does do things for employees that are leaving, so. And it's based on, how long they've been here, that kind of thing, and stuff like that, so. But we usually almost always have a cake.
Right.
So,
The statistics that were very modified, are you finding it helpful or no judgment yet?
I am finding it very useful. I find them much easier to use and look at comparisons from month to month. As I have mentioned, this is more, I kind of wanted this, so for me, this is great. I think that in particular, where it will be really useful is right now, when I look at last year's and then I'm having to, still juggle those two different kind of presentations of the statistics. But I think that going forward, as we look at year-to-year comparisons, it will be much, much easier. And this process has always also allowed us or enabled us to more clearly define what we're counting and get a real firm grasp on that. So, and then align them with what the state is asking for in terms of statistical reporting as well. So I anticipate that this will make some of the reporting a lot easier for me when the time comes.
Any other questions?
Oh, back to the social worker.
Sure.
So you said the meeting went well. Did you guys discuss possibly having her have office hours here?
Yes.
How would that look?
So what we were anticipating, if it works out, we're still waiting to hear back from her because she had to verify that that was something she could do with, the village. And so she didn't think that would be a problem, but she wants to make sure she was jumping through all the right hoops and asking the right people. What we anticipated is having her have office hours probably like once a month, set her up in the study room, for example, for a few hours, so that not only would she be able to see people, that may be in the library that want to speak with her, but it would also be a great resource for the staff who maybe something would come up that we didn't necessarily feel like we needed to call her for, but knowing that she was gonna come in, it would give the staff a good opportunity to come in and say, I have this situation with a patron or something like that, and kind of get some feedback. So that's what we were looking at least tentatively.
Okay.
And then, seeing how that went, and then again, possibly having her come out and do some program, a program for the staff and some question and answer periods and stuff like that, so.
Is her office at the village?
Her office is actually in the Civic Center. So,
Oh, okay.
she works approximately 25 hours a week, and she is employed by the village, and her primary role is to be responsive in crisis situations. So like if the police are called or a fire or something like that. She also does see, she has some individual people that she does actually counsel. So she works her schedule around that.
She knew.
She is relatively new.
We went
this-
through a whole muddled mess with the village.
Her, I think she just started sometime last year. She hasn't even been there a year, I don't think.
Because about a year and a half, 2 years.
So,
It was a muddled mess between. some
Yeah,
people
but
and
she's,
the village.
she's been very proactive, and like I said, we've actually, before she came out to talk with us, we have had to call her, and she's come out and, been really helpful in a couple of other situations. And, so what, our goal is to have people be aware that, she would be available to them if here. I mean, it's just another way for people to see her.
People might
You know,
feel
we-
uncomfortable coming.
Right, I mean, I think, there's a different clientele that walks in and out of the library than there may be at the Civic Center and that kind of thing, so.
How are you gonna advertise her services?
If we can do that, we'll first of all put it in B&B, we'll put it on Facebook, our usual ways of marketing things. So, it's not gonna go in the July, August B&B because we're almost wrapping that up and we haven't heard back from her officially yet. But we would market that, in B&B, Facebook, Twitter, signage around the library, that kind of thing. Sure. Anything else? Okay.
No corporate counsel?
Nope, though I did see Frank in the library today. He was meeting, he was using one of the study rooms.
Unfinished business. Curious to hear about the Lincoln Avenue.
We had a very, very interested, potential buyer. I think I had told
You
some of
sent
you
that
that,
email.
or I sent an email.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that did not work out. That particular, buyer, I don't know what that is. There was some issues with how quickly they needed to be out of their current location.
Okay.
They had asked us about potentially renting. There was 2 issues with that. If for some reason, well, they wanted to rent while they got their financing in order to buy. And so the couple issues, as I said, the first one is that if their financing did not work out, now they were in our building and how hard it would be to get them out. But the bigger issue is that once we start renting that property, we'll have to start paying taxes on it. So, as a non-exempt, as a tax-exempt organization, we can't
Unless
charge.
it's a tax exempt or.
Right, and so the buyers were not tax exempt themselves, so that was the bigger issue. And they, though our realtor was our broker was a little surprised, he said, the company that was interested in it were builders, and he said, don't they know? I mean, you would think that they would have some experience, it's gonna take them a little bit longer than, 6 weeks to get their financing in order. We have had a couple of other showings since then, but nothing else. But the building is almost entirely cleaned out. So we've had 2 dumpsters now going through everything. Staff has been over, making sure that anything that was stored there, if we needed to keep it, we found a space for it back in this building. But so now, should that building sell quickly, we're ready to go. We don't just have any time cleaning things up.
When we bought the building, and those of you who are here, correct me if I'm wrong, we had to go through the village building committee to get approval to use the building in the way we were going to use it. And there was a bunch of stuff about traffic and parking and all sorts of problems
Right.
that they were making it very difficult for us to get the building. Do we have to go through anything like that to get rid of the building?
That would not be our responsibility.
It would be
That would be the buyer's
buyer's
responsibility.
responsibility.
Mhm.
Thank goodness.
Right.
formal recognition of the resolution on federal immigration laws from the village, the welcoming board in the previous agenda. I didn't read that whole
Do you want
long
me
title.
to talk what I-
You can.
So this is the resolution formalizing current village policies and practices regarding enforcement of federal immigration laws. It was the village's response to the push for the welcoming communities ordinance. And so this, Carlotta was actually at that meeting, and this passed unanimously, the village ordinance, and people in the audience seemed.
The resolution passed.
Right, I'm sorry, the resolution passed, and that Carlotta sensed that the people that were, that this was a reasonable response to the welcoming
Right, I mean,
communities ordinance. And
By
everyone
doing
said
this, I
the
think
same.
everybody's happy, it's not a law.
So we were not, we had been asked to sign on to the letter and the ordinance that was that they were trying to get passed. And my recommendation was last time to wait until we had a full board, and then in the interim, this happened, and the board does not have to do this, but I think it would be a nice gesture, particularly since we had been approached about signing on to the ordinance, to formally recognize the resolution that the village did pass. Again, you do not have to do that, but it might be a nice way to, a way for us to respond if someone should say to us, ask us what our stance, what the board's stance is on this, to say that, we recognize the resolution that the village passed, and, that's reflected in our minutes, so.
I'll move to formally recognize the Village of Morton Grove Resolution 1728, formalizing current village policies and practices regarding enforcement of federal immigration laws.
Second.
There was a second over here.
All right, we'll do
I can
the
do
roll
a
call. Yeah. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Gray, yes. Masoncheck,
Yes.
Monson,
Yes.
Novick,
Yes,
Pelletier. Yes. Swear to God, I don't pronounce it. Calamag.
Yes.
I know somebody by that name, it
Yeah.
says it, Pelletier.
I don't want to put someone fancy. New business. Non-resident library fee.
This is the annual resolution that we adopt every year to say we participate in the non-resident library fee program, and then sets the pricing, which is outlined in the resolution as well, so.
Price change, I didn't go.
It did go
back.
down a little
Oh, it
bit,
down,
okay. It did?
so, yeah, it did go down,
How
and,
unusual.
yeah, so
Do
anyway.
a lot of people use it?
No.
I
Morton
think
Grove
this
is, the issue, so with the non-resident, a lot of times what will happen is that if the library has unincorporated areas in it, Morton Grove does not, so
Right.
everyone that lives in Morton Grove is eligible for a library card because they're all within the village boundaries.
Yeah.
Now, there are some laws that pertain to, if you are in an unincorporated area, which is your closest library, and so we could have someone that, for some reason, and I don't know that this is the case, I'm just gonna say, if, there may be a section of Niles that's unincorporated, I don't think that's the case. But
Just where you
Glenview,
live.
so someone might say, which
Glenview.
library do I wanna get my card from, and there are some there's a distance that's kind of outlined in statute, it has to be your closer library, that kind of thing. But we get very, very, very few of these, in fact, I don't think we even have one this year. But we still like to pass the
Yeah, no,
resolution
that-
saying we
that is fine. I
participate in
just
the
wanted
program
to
and
be
set the
sure.
price.
Look for a motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll second that.
Gray, yes. Masoncheck,
Yes.
Monson,
Yes.
Novick,
Yes.
Pelletier. Yes. Calamag,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Last year, there's 70% off, but we'll figure something out. Yeah, we'll figure that one out.
Approve My Media Mall Intergovernmental Library Agreement, which I read word for word.
I have actually read this word for word, because
I knew you did, and then I didn't.
So this agreement actually just documents more casual agreement that the libraries that participate in My Media Mall, which is our Overdrive e-content consortium. So,
Okay, you say so.
recently, we wanted to make some changes, and it came to light that we didn't actually have any kind of formal agreement. And so we needed to formalize our group before we moved forward with making any changes. And so that's all this is formalizing this more casual agreement that we've had for the last several years. And again, this is for provision of our e-content through Overdrive if you do any downloadables.
Did we draft this? I mean, did-
This was drafted by, no, this
Oh.
was drafted by another attorney that Rails uses.
Oh, okay,
So-
okay, so this is,
Mhm.
I'll make a motion to approve My Media Mall intergovernmental library agreement.
Second.
Masajek,
Yes.
Monson,
Yes.
Novick,
Right.
Pelletier, Calnay,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Gray, yes. Election board officials.
So, the officers were elected last April as a slate of candidates. Mark Albers as president, Stephanie as secretary, and Carlotta as treasurer. With Mark leaving, that obviously leaves the president seat open. So the board needs to choose how they want to move forward and fill that seat. If they wanted to, for example, nominate Stephanie to fill out the remainder of that seat, and the term expires in May of 2018, because they're 2-year terms now,
Then we have to fill.
then you would have to fill the secretary seat. Or you could choose just to nominate someone as president, Stephanie would remain as secretary, Carlotta would remain as treasurer, and then there would be a new president to fill out the remainder of the seat, again, ending in May 2018.
I'll nominate Stephanie Gray as president.
So then what will have to happen is that then someone will have to be nominated as secretary. So we can, what I would recommend doing.
I'm happy to do it, but if somebody else wants to do it.
Yeah, so what I would recommend doing is,
that's okay.
last time we did a slate, I would say let's do this one at a time.
Okay.
Just particularly if we're kind of cascading positions here, so.
I don't know, Dr. Calmay, I do travel a lot, but if you're,
Itching to be
I'm
president.
still too busy.
okay, all right. I didn't wanna,
So we have a nomination of Stephanie. Any other nominations? So,
I will
I'll
nominate
second. Wait, who else?
Emily to fill
The secretary
her position right now.
you can vote on it as all of one, with one motion if you want, or you can do it with two.
But now we have to fill the secretary.
Well, that's what Dr. Kalameg had nominated Emily to fill the secretary position.
Oh,
If-
gotcha.
If Stephanie takes the president position. So as I said, we can do that with one motion, that motion to nominate
okay.
Stephanie Gray as president and Emily Masajek as secretary, or you can do it separately, however the
Well,
board
I
wants
already
to
started
do it.
writing down the first one and wrote Emily, but I can cross that.
So what did you write down?
I wrote down nominate S. Gray as president, moved Emily.
Oh, okay, so we'll do that that way
Okay, so
then.
now-
So Emily had made the motion
To nominate.
to nominate Stephanie as
Stephanie.
president,
So
So
you
you
second?
second.
I'll
Yeah.
second it.
Okay.
and then
Oh, no,
actually,
to
I'm not sure if
Joanne's
we need to
to-
do a second for elections, but that's okay.
Do I, yeah, roll call, right, but do I abstain?
You can.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, so Monson,
Yes.
or do we need discussion?
Oh, I need to say.
I'm really good at this, I don't know, I can.
So-
You
Hell
voted yourself to
yeah.
become a trustee? Yeah.
Because she's chairing the meeting, she would only vote in the cases of a tie.
Oh, well,
That's
okay.
technically
Okay.
what's supposed to happen.
All right, so I'll abstain. Monson,
Yes.
Novick,
Yes.
Pelletier, Calamag,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Gray, abstain. Okay, and then Dr. Calamag
And we have agreed with
I'll
the-
second
nominated Emily.
And then Eric seconded that as
You're
secretary.
just talking too much already, this is what happens when you talk a lot. Okay, so let's see. Any discussion?
So it's, oh, you are nominated as such, will continue the rest of until 2018, is that what it is?
Right.
Okay.
Because that was just fill out the remainder of those
The
2-year
remainder, okay.
terms.
All right.
But just, could they continue on, or do they?
No,
I know you
well, we didn't
can't.
discuss it in
I'm
those
just-
terms, we only discussed it in filling the 2 years.
Right.
There's only one, we never talked about completing a term. Yeah, there is a section on
Let's see,
completing
no
a term.
trustee shall hold more than one office at a time nor serve consecutive terms in the same office.
Okay.
So you could all say, oh, I love being an officer, but we're all gonna switch positions, but you can't, we can't, so for example, Stephanie can't say, oh, I wanna be president for another 2 years. So,
Okay, I just
yeah.
wanted to clarify that, so.
At least according to the bylaws as they're written. It does not mean that
So high on power.
Keep in mind that the bylaws are written by the board,
We're
so
gonna
should the
change
board
that.
want to change that, that's
But you
completely
have to change the
up to you.
bylaws before you change the situation.
If we're gonna do that next year.
I
So
also
we're
the other
still
conversation
needing to
I-
vote on
Yes.
Emily's position as
Yeah.
secretary.
Okay, so we'll start with Barb. Novick,
Yes,
Pelletier,
Yes.
Calamag,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Gray, yes. Mesa Jacko. Right. And Monson.
Yes.
And am I pronouncing Monson? I'm saying that's right? Okay. Pronunciation has
Monson.
never been my forte.
So I would just, before we go on, as new officers then, Emily, I'll need you to sign some things as secretary.
Okay,
So-
and then do I have to re-sign some things as president?
No, you're fine,
Okay.
so, because we've got everything just as either president or secretary.
Okay.
We've moved away from actually listing,
It's the name.
yeah, except for on the official oaths, because when they took those, you were still secretary, so that's the
Okay.
only thing.
I didn't know for checks or.
No, because Carlotta's,
And I
yeah,
don't
as
sign
treasurer.
checks, yeah. Communications,
Nothing this month.
public comments, non-agenda items.
Nobody's here
Nobody's
anymore.
here. Any need to go into executive session?
No.
Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.